But if I could start all over, I'll tell you, the number one thing I would do differently is I would not buy a single family house. I just wouldn't. We've just all been told for our whole lives that the best thing you need to do is get out there and buy a house. Because if I could do it all over again, I would not buy a single family house. Because the bottom line is a single family house is not an asset. If you could combine those two things, you will get to financial freedom so much quicker. Having a duplex is great, but if you have a duplex where you could Airbnb the other side, you're printing money. And I'm telling you right now, that is the truth, because I have that right now. Man, sometimes I think about this. If I could start all over, I would do a lot of things different than what I'm doing right now. A lot. And one of the biggest things will probably make you think. It really will. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the channel. On this channel, I talk about my path to financial freedom and some of the things I'm actually doing to get there. I also share some of my experiences so you guys know that I'm not one of these guys that are out here just capping out here on YouTube. I'm a guy that works a full-time job, and I also have a 6-figure side hustle on the side, and you could do the same thing too. But if I could start all over, I'll tell you, the number one thing I would do differently is I would not buy a single family house. I just wouldn't. We've just all been told for our whole lives that the best thing you need to do is get out there and buy a house. And I'm not saying that's bad advice, man. I know people are probably gonna get on me in the comments and they're gonna say that like I shouldn't be giving that level of advice and saying that, but I just gotta say it, man. Because if I could do it all over again, I would not buy a single family house. Because the bottom line is a single family house is not an asset. It's a liability. If you look at the definition of what an asset is versus a liability, it's a liability. All it does is take money out of your pocket. Everybody knows an asset puts money in. And I know the argument is yeah, it's putting money in your pocket on the back end, but guess what? You can't use that money until you sell it. And the opportunity cost of you not being able to use that money for 20 years to be able to invest it, it's not worth it. And what you got to think about is, this is what you got to think about when you think about the whole home ownership argument. It's everybody should definitely own their own place. But think about this. Your house could end up being worth, let's just say your house is worth $1 million, okay? You stay in it, you bought it as $450,000, 15, 20 years later, it's worth $1 million, okay? You don't have $1 million in your pocket. You got $1 million in your house. And there's only 2 ways to get access to that money. 2 ways. And one is creating more debt for yourself, and one is to sell the property. Now you don't have nowhere to live. And so what do you do then? So now you don't have a place to live, and you got money in your pocket, and now you got to buy somewhere else to live. So what do you do? So I'm not trying to talk against home ownership. Obviously, it makes sense to buy a property. But if I could do it all over again, it would not be a single family residence. It would be a duplex. So y'all thought I was against real estate. Nah, I'm not anti-real estate. I'm just anti-single family home. Single family homes are not great investments, man. They're just not. Especially in the current interest rate environment, you're not really gonna make any money. I got a house I got a 2% interest rate on, and I make about $1,000 off in a month. About $1,000. That's solid. But like, over time, of course, then I could sell that house, and that's a house I don't live in, right? So, but it was a single family residence that I lived in, but I moved out of it and I rented it. That's a whole nother play. And that's some of the plays that I run too. The single family residence house that you live in, then you move out of it, you rent. A lot of people do that. You could acquire real estate over time doing that. But if I could do it all over again, I would definitely do a duplex. So that's one. The second piece of it is I would do a duplex that I could do short-term rentals on. If you could combine those two things, you will get to financial freedom so much quicker. Having a duplex is great, but if you have a duplex where you could Airbnb the other side, you're printing money. And I'm telling you right now, that is the truth, because I have that right now, but I'm in my mid to late 40s now. I wish I would have did this when I was in my 20s. I wish my first investment would have been a duplex, because one, that duplex would have been paid for by now, and I wouldn't have paid the mortgage. Somebody else would have paid it, and I would have been living there. So now I would have been living for free or almost for free, and somebody else paying for it. See, that's the difference in when you have a duplex versus a single family residence. Single family residence, money is just coming out of your pocket to pay that mortgage, and that's it. No money is coming in your pocket. Yeah, money is going in your back pocket that you could use for a rainy day, but what does that money do for you now? It does nothing. And the opportunity cost of not having access to that money for decades is just too much to ignore. That's the thing that people don't talk about. Yeah, you're piling up money for a late rainy day, but having $200,000-$300,000, it could be a great thing 10 years from now, but what if you had access to that $200,000-$300,000 now? What could you have done with it? That's what I'm trying to say. And that's what doing a duplex allows you to do now, right? Because now you're not paying that full mortgage. Say you have a $2,000 mortgage on your duplex and you're renting out one side for $1,500. Now you're paying $500 a month out of your pocket. Another person give you $1,500, so you got a $500 mortgage. And you compound that over years versus your partners and your peers and your other people that are in your age group that bought single family homes that are paying $2,000 a month and nobody's helping them pay. That's the difference. Where do you think you're gonna be at 10 years from now when you're 35 years old, right? You started at 25 and you're 35. If you've only been paying $500 a month for 10 years and they've been paying $2,000 a month for 10 years, okay? And maybe their house is worth $100,000 more. But guess what? They don't have access to that $100,000. And the only way they could get it is to sell the house, which then they won't have a house to stay in. And then they have to buy another one or rent one. Or they gotta get a mortgage line of credit, which is gonna cost them interest. So drop in the comments, man, what do you guys think about that? Do you guys think single family residences are an asset? Because I don't think they are. I think the opportunity cost that you're giving up for building that equity is too much to ignore. And there'll be some people to say, hey man, Chris, everybody's not an investor. I get everybody's not an investor. I agree. Everybody ain't built for this, man, but buying a duplex don't mean you're an investor, man. That's just being smart with your money. If you a young couple, you get a duplex, 2-bedroom, 2-bath on each side, or 3-bedroom, 2-bath on each side, man, you printing money, man. And like I said, if you could make it an Airbnb, that takes it to the next level. Because if you could make it an Airbnb, you'll definitely, if it's in the right area, right, you'll definitely make enough money to cover the entire mortgage. So now you're living for free. And possibly, if it's in the really right location, it may also be paying your car payments and your insurance, and you're really living for free. So imagine being in a situation where you don't have a mortgage payment. You're putting $2,000 of money in your pocket because you got an Airbnb next door. You don't have a car payment because the Airbnb covers your car payment. So you're putting $3,000 a month in your pocket every month for 10 years. What is that number? And guess what? You had access to that money. So what could you do with that money? You could buy other assets. That's the difference. That's a huge difference, man. And I just think the gap is too big to ignore. So drop it in the comments what you guys think about that. Do you guys really think that single family residences are an asset? I don't think it is. I think the opportunity cost for not having access to your money It's way too much to ignore. Get out here, find you a side hustle, man. Run you a play while you're working full time. Don't quit your job, man. If you do that, that is the cheat code to financial freedom. See you guys in the next video. Peace.